Welcome back to Day 42, where we explore the fascinating world of the ancient tabernacle and its divine design. Today, we're diving into Exodus chapters 36 through 38, where the meticulous construction of the tabernacle unfolds. I'm Jocelyn, and as always, I'm joined by Milton. How's it going?
Hey Jocelyn, doing well, and I'm really excited for today's conversation. These chapters are packed with details on the construction of the tabernacle, and I think we can really dig into the artistry and craftsmanship behind it. What caught your attention in this section?
Definitely. There's so much here. The emphasis on skill and craftsmanship is striking. You've got figures like Bezalel and Oholiab, who were not just skilled workers, but divinely inspired to create this sacred space. It's incredible that the text highlights the wisdom and understanding the Lord imparted to them. What do you think that says about the role of craftsmanship in spiritual spaces?
Right, the idea that they were given divine wisdom makes it clear that the tabernacle wasn't just any building, it was meant to be a physical manifestation of God's presence among the people. It wasn't just about function, but about making the space sacred, beautiful, and reflective of divine order. And these workers weren't just following plans, they were inspired, kind of like artists in their own right. There's a spiritual artistry to it.
Exactly. It's like a divine partnership. And the way the people contributed, it wasn't just a one-time offering, but a continuous stream of free will gifts every morning. It really speaks to the devotion and collective will of the Israelites. It almost feels like they were all part of this sacred creation, don't you think?
Absolutely. The fact that they were bringing so much that Moses had to tell them to stop says a lot about their enthusiasm and willingness to contribute to something greater than themselves. And that's not even including the skill of the artisans. Let's talk about the materials for a second. How about those golden clasps and the fine linen? It must have been a sight to behold.
It's like the ultimate collaboration of materials. Gold, blue, purple, scarlet. The choice of colors alone is significant, don't you think? These were royal and sacred hues, meant to communicate the majesty and holiness of the tabernacle. And then the cherubim woven into the curtains. There's symbolism everywhere.
Yes, the cherubim represent the heavenly realm, and it's interesting that they were woven directly into the fabric, integrating the sacred with the physical structure. I think it's almost as if the tabernacle itself becomes a place where heaven and earth meet. The craftsmanship wasn't just physical, it was theological.
I like that. And speaking of heaven and earth, the veil and the gold overlay on the boards, these aren't just decorative elements. They communicate something deeply theological. The veil, for example, separated the Holy of Holies from the rest of the tabernacle. It's a physical barrier that speaks to the mystery of God's presence.
Right? The Holy of Holies was the most sacred space, and only the high priest could enter once a year. That veil acted as a reminder of the holiness of God, something people couldn't just approach casually. And the materials used, the gold, the fine linen, it's all part of communicating that God's presence was something both awe-inspiring and otherworldly.
And let's not forget the Ark of the Covenant itself, made of acacia wood and pure gold. It's fascinating how the ark was constructed. The wings of the cherubim on the mercy seat, facing each other, protecting the sacred space. That's not just craftsmanship. It's a theology of protection, of guarding God's presence.
I find it really interesting that the cherubim weren't separate. They were made from the same piece of gold as the mercy seat. So their wings literally overshadow the mercy seat, almost like they were part of the throne of God. The design is like a visual reminder of divine protection too.
And the table of showbread and the menorah, both made of pure gold, really demonstrate how everything in the tabernacle had a purpose. Each piece wasn't just functional, it also had a spiritual message. The table of showbread was a symbol of God's provision, and the menorah, with its almond blossom design, was a symbol of life and light.
Exactly. The menorah's design is rich with symbolism. The almond blossoms, the buds, the flowers, it's like a visual representation of new life, of God's life-giving presence. The light of the menorah was also a reminder that God's presence would illuminate the darkness for the Israelites.
And let's talk about the altar of incense for a moment. The idea of sweet-smelling incense rising to God is so poetic. The altar was a place for the prayers of the people, symbolizing how their prayers would ascend to heaven, just as the smoke would.
The incense was a visual and sensory symbol. The rising smoke represented the people's prayers, their hopes, their cries. It's fascinating to think about how the whole tabernacle was not just a place of sacrifice, but also of intercession. The altar of incense really ties the physical space to the spiritual practice.
I love that connection. The altar wasn't just for rituals, it was a way for people to communicate with God, to seek His favor and grace. And moving outside, the bronze altar of burnt offering really brings it all back down to earth. It's where the sacrifices happened, where people engaged with the tabernacle on a very tangible level.
That's such a good point. The bronze altar was a place of atonement. It was about the people's need for cleansing, for forgiveness. The whole tabernacle, in a sense, points to this journey, from sin and atonement to holiness and divine presence. It's like a journey through the space itself.
And in that same journey, we see how everything connects. Each element, from the curtains to the vessels, from the ark to the altar. It's all about creating a space where the Israelites could meet God. But more than that, it's a space that reflects the order, beauty, and holiness of God's design.
That's what's so cool about it. Everything in the tabernacle is intentional, down to the materials, the measurements, and the craftsmanship. It's not just about building a structure, it's about creating a place that reflects God's presence and holiness. And it all points to the greater work of redemption.
Absolutely. The whole tabernacle is a foreshadowing of something bigger. It's not just about physical beauty. It's about the spiritual significance behind every detail. And as we read through these chapters, it becomes clear that God's people were called to build something that was both functional and full of meaning.
Yeah, and the way they contributed, each person offering their skills, their resources, it's like the entire community was involved in bringing this divine vision to life. There's something powerful in that collective effort.
For sure. As we wrap up, it's worth asking, how does this ancient act of construction and craftsmanship speak to us today? What does it mean for us to build spaces, whether physical or spiritual, that reflect God's holiness?
That's a great question. Maybe it challenges us to think about how we approach our work and our contributions, whether in the church, in our communities, or in our daily lives. Are we putting our best effort forward with the same reverence and care as these artisans? That's something to think about.
Exactly. It's all about bringing the sacred into the everyday. And with that, we'll wrap up today's episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone. God bless.